Emotion regulation is about managing our emotions more effectively so that we can be in better shape physically and mentally. Emotion regulation helps us with handling stress, navigating challenging situations, building healthier relationships, making better decisions, and maintaining a positive outlook on life. But how exactly does emotion regulation work? Emotion regulation researchers identified two types of emotion regulation: implicit and explicit. Both types are important and both play a role in how we manage our emotional experiences. Let's see how they differ. Implicit emotion regulation is the kind of emotion regulation that happens internally, in the background of our minds and all the time. Implicit emotion regulation is outside of our conscious awareness. That means that we are not aware that something is happening that is affecting how and what we feel. It also means that there is nothing we need to do to control our emotions. The process is automatic and effortless. Our brains are equipped with the ability to regulate the type of emotion and the intensity of the emotions that we experience without the need for our input. Positive and negative emotions can rise and fall throughout the day in response to a variety of triggers. There are many instances when we feel anxious, or frustrated, or bored, but then something happens and the feeling goes away. The implicit emotion regulation system silently brings us back to a comfortable baseline, and we're not even aware of how that happened. Imagine that a client tells you, "You have a big stain on your shirt." For a brief moment, you may feel embarrassed about not noticing it before. You may feel worried that you look unprofessional. You may even feel annoyed at the client that instead of focusing on the wisdom you're sharing, they're focused on your shirt. These feelings may last a few seconds or a few minutes. You may say, "Oh, thank you," and then you move on. You shift your focus back on the client without paying attention to the embarrassment, the worry, or the annoyance anymore. That's an example of implicit emotion regulation. Now, imagine that after a client tells you, "You have a big stain on your shirt," you feel embarrassed, worried, and annoyed, but you can't shake that feeling. Your face is still flushed with embarrassment. You keep looking at the stain, wondering how it got there. Was it there when you left the house? Did you spill something on your way to work? Did anyone else notice? Why didn't your colleagues say anything? You can barely focus on the conversation, thinking whether you will be able to remove the stain or is this shirt a goner. You may even get a little snappy with your client, and the emotions linger. This is when we need to rely on explicit emotion regulation. Explicit is the kind of emotion regulation that we have to activate consciously when we want to change our feeling or when we need to change our feeling. Unlike implicit emotion regulation, explicit emotion regulation requires effort and control. Explicit regulation allows us to override these automatic emotions, especially when our implicit emotion regulation has not been successful at doing that. Explicit emotion regulation relies on deliberately using strategies to manage our emotions and to shift how we feel and how we respond to the feeling. In our stain example, one strategy would be to take a few deep breaths. Another one would be to acknowledge how you feel. "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so embarrassed. Thank you for letting me know." You can use humor to counter the negative feelings. "Yeah, that coffee wasn't that good this morning." You can state your intention to yourself. "I will take care of this later." You can remind yourself that it is not the end of the world that you had a stain on your shirt. It doesn't undermine your professionalism. As you can see, explicit emotion regulation strategies can range from pretty simple to pretty complex. They can focus on how we respond in the moment when we feel the emotions, but they can also help us learn how to think more flexibly, shift our perspective, stay focused on our goals in the moment, and recognize our cognitive distortions. These skills can have a long-lasting impact on how to manage our emotions and therefore allow us to use our mental resources to reaching goals and solving problems more effectively. And when we learn them well and use them consistently, they may become more automatic and start working implicitly without too much effort. In our MREG intervention, we focus on exploring our clients' implicit emotion regulation skills and teaching them a wide range of explicit emotion regulation strategies to enable them to understand their emotional habits better and how to overcome them when they become an obstacle to their growth.